Spiritual Hygiene with Josie Bray. My name is Josie and I'm your host and guide. And today I'm taking questions from folks like you who have questions about spiritual, mental, or physical health. So today I have a question from Renee in Chapel Hill, North Carolina. And Renee writes, "Dear Josie, my shoulders hurt a lot and I'm wondering if you have any tips for reducing shoulder pain." Yes, I do, Renee. I do have some tips for reducing shoulder pain. And thank you so much for asking about this question. And thank you so much for asking about shoulders. Shoulders are a big problem for a lot of people, especially in the United States. I'm just gonna put my little clipboard down here. And I will share some pointers with you right now from my teacher, Eric Franklin, about how to improve the way your shoulders feel. So the first thing you can do is you can take one hand and take it to your opposite shoulder and just gently give that shoulder a squeeze as you lift the shoulder up and then release it as you drop the shoulder down. We're just gonna do this a couple times. Now, in the Franklin method, we do this with a lot of imagery, and we want to use imagery that is most comfortable to you. So I'll offer some, but you might have some images that work better. So one image that my teacher Eric offers a lot here is that as you squeeze your shoulder, you could imagine that your shoulder is a sponge and you're squeezing the water out of that sponge. And then as the shoulder drops down, you could imagine that the sponge is filling with warm, clean water. You could also imagine that you're a cat making muffins on your shoulder, if you like cats. You could also imagine that someone really kind is giving you a massage. One of my students said, "Oh, this is like taking my shoulder to the car wash." You might have a different image that you like. So we'll just do maybe two more here, just squeezing the shoulder as the shoulder rises and then releasing the shoulder as the shoulder drops. And then we'll just drop that down for a moment. And as Eric often says, okay, let's do a consumer comparison, meaning do you feel a difference in the two shoulders? One thing you could do would be to reach both arms out in front of you. Maybe one arm is longer than the other, or you could drop your arms down and maybe you can feel that one shoulder is lower than the other. I feel more space on this side of my neck. So now we'll do the second side. So go ahead and take your other hand and take it to your opposite shoulder, and you're going to give that shoulder a squeeze as you lift the shoulder up and then release the shoulder down. As the shoulder goes down, you release the squeeze. And so maybe you could imagine that as a sponge, or maybe you could imagine that as the cat making muffins on your shoulder, or maybe you could imagine yourself kneading pizza dough. Oh, you could imagine yourself squeezing one of those little, those little hand exerciser things. You could imagine that your shoulder is one of those hand squeegee balls. And we'll just try a few more like that. So as the shoulder comes up, you give it a squeeze, and as the shoulder comes down, you release it. And we'll just do a couple more like that. And then you can let your arms drop down and then just notice how your shoulders feel now. And then we'll try one more exercise here for shoulders. This is also an exercise from Eric Franklin. I'm gonna use it with Franklin method balls, which you can, if you just Google Franklin method balls, you can find them. These are the smooth ball set, but you don't need any fancy equipment to do this. You could just take a pair of socks and roll them up in a ball. So you're gonna take the socks or the balls and put them underneath your armpits, and then just gently slide your shoulders up and slide your shoulders down. Now, there's a muscle that connects your shoulder blades to your throat, believe it or not. It's called the omohyoid muscle. And so one of the ways to help reduce shoulder tension, especially when you're doing this, is to let your throat soften and your tongue soften. So see if you can let your jaw be soft. You might naturally yawn. As you do this, we could also use some imagery here. One of my favorite ones is to imagine that the balls or the socks under your armpits are like a buoy. They're like buoys on the ocean. And as the tide rises, your shoulders rise and the buoys rise. And then as the tide goes out, your shoulders drop and the buoys go down. We could just try that one more time. And then you can take the socks or the balls out from underneath your armpits and just let your arms drop down. And then notice your shoulders now. And just check in with yourself. What do you notice? I notice my shoulders are softer. I also notice that my neck is softer and my face feels a little more relaxed. Thank you so much for that question. And I hope this helps. And if you have a question about physical or emotional or spiritual health, feel free to email me at hello@josiebray.com, or you can get my free anxiety release bundle by going to my website at josiebray.com. Thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you next time.